What's up, everybody? Welcome back to day number 5, session number 5 of the Tice vs. Perkins challenge. We are here riding solo again, bringing you a nice little nooner, for all you guys out here on the West Coast. 3 p.m. East. I guess everybody may be getting off work soon. I don't know how that whole thing works. I think it's 9 to 5, right? Not 7 to 3. Anyway, we appreciate you guys being able to tune in. We're going to bring a little high-stakes gambling to you all today. Another 2-hour session is scheduled. Landon comes into today with about a 53K lead over Perkins after roughly 1,700 hands. We should get through hand number 2,000 today, meaning that at least 10% of the challenge will be completed. Right now, with the spot, they are playing about break-even poker. I think Landon's winning a little bit over 8 big blinds per 100, so he's losing ever so slightly to the spot currently. The players have sat. It looks as though the first hand is underway, and we see a 3-bet here from Perkins on table number 1. We're still working on our overlay, so we're going to start with the traditional ACR Railbird stream. 4-bet here by Landon. Action right out of the gate. We may see stacks go in here right out of the hand number 1. We do not fold. Single raise pot here on the right. King 5-3. Landon chooses the small c-bet size. Perkins calls. Turn jack of spades, putting the board two-tone. Check, check. River 6. I think we'll see a lot of ace high and jack X in Landon's range here. Perkins chooses the check. Landon checks back and loses the 4s. Very likely to be an ace high holding there. It's early, team. It is early. I'm a little bit raspy. Got a little itch in my throat, little sore throat. But, the show must go on. 3-bet pot here on table number 2. King, Queen, 7 rainbow. Landon goes with the small size. We're going to arrive at a turn of SPR 3. Turn 7, pairing bottom pair. Pretty advantageous for Landon, the out of position player. Obviously, he's going to have fewer 7s, but overall likely to improve his range's equity, bringing the backdoor diamonds. He does elect to check. Perkins checks back. River 6 of diamonds. After a check line, this may favor Perkins slightly. I imagine he'll have some Queen X of diamonds, Jack 10 of diamonds that doesn't bet the turn. Landon goes with a check. Probably a lot of ace high, pocket jacks, pocket 10s in that range. He'll have a little bit of King X and Queen X to protect. But yeah, very likely to be just like ace high here, there, or a give up. He'll certainly have some give ups in range. Loses the pocket 8s. And that's going to bring the match back to even. We do have some new bells and whistles to roll out with the layout today. Andre is working very hard behind the scenes. We're going to try to get those out as soon as possible. We're also going to continue to keep track of the scoreboard as well as the hand count as best we possibly can. Single raise pot here on the left. Jack 9-6, two-tone. Perkins goes with the big size. Landon calls. Turn 3 of clubs brings a backdoor flush draw as well. Perkins goes 3/4 pot. I don't know that Landon will have many raises in this spot, but he'll have some. I mean, he'll always have some. He'll just have a little bit fewer because of the sizing Perkins chose. He does elect to raise to 11-7, which is roughly pot. So he's polarizing here, setting up a river shove should Perkins continue through a call. This will be a lot of strong made hands, and then a fair amount of like low equity type holdings that are drawing to the nuts. Perhaps a hand like 4-5. Reason you're not going to see too many combo draws there is with 1 to come, you hate to get shoved on and have to call with 5 high. That's obviously brutal. So you want to be choosing hands that can check raise to pot there and then give up. Perkins takes down a small one on the left. Single raise pot on the right. Queen 9-3, 2 hearts. Check, small bet, call. Turn 8 of clubs, check, check. Completing Jack 10. River deuce of clubs, check, check. Landon wins with 6s. While we wait for the new layout and the chat to be involved, I'm going to pull you guys up on my phone. See what everybody's up to. Get some shout outs in. What up, Hish? My man, my neighbor. How are things with you today? Shouldn't you be at work, Hish? It's a Wednesday, man. Scarf Boy 2020, what's good, my man? Always nice to see you. Connie in the building. Thank you so much, Joseph Avalos. Appreciate you stopping by. I think we might have more moderators in the chat right now than we actually have normal chatters. If you guys haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, give us a little bit of love as we bring you all of the in-depth coverage of the Tice Perkins match. We will very likely have interviews at the end of this match with both competitors, as we tend to with each and every one of these showdowns. I think we're in for a treat. These guys have been playing really fast. I was talking to Landon about it the other day. Probably going to be fewer sessions than we would have imagined. It's probably going to be, they were anticipating getting 15,000 hands done by the World Series. I imagine that this challenge is actually completed by the World Series. If they continue to play three sessions per, oh baby, what have we done? Wow, how clean does this look? That nice little Solve for Y logo, dead smack in the middle of the table. I like that, man. Wait. Okay, it's the same table on both. I thought I was losing my mind for a second. I thought like the same flop came out on both tables. We'll get that corrected shortly. But man, how sweet it is. This looks so clean. I like that. Looks like both competitors are about, Landon's probably up about 5K right now, depending on how this pot on the left goes. 4, 5, 7, all clubs. Turn 6, we see Landon leading for 3/4 pot and winning. Thank you so much, Preston. I hope everything's going well with you as well. So clean. Ah, so clean. This is what happens behind the scenes, day in and day out. We just continually get it more and more dialed in. What do you think the live line is for this match? Not really sure. It depends, like, so you're saying, what do you think the live line is on BBs per 100? You're saying for the duration of the match, right? I think the last I saw, it was Perkins plus 7.5 blinds. Nitus, get the fuck out of here, man. Nobody wants you on the 1s and 2s. Shout out to my man Nitus, my favorite game runner, who would have absolutely nothing to contribute to this conversation if we put him in the booth. But yeah, I would think that it's somewhere between 7 and 8 blinds right now, roughly what they're playing to. Oh, baby, we have an accurate... Wait. Oh, that's in the challenge. Oh, I thought I missed something. I thought they reset tables or something. Okay, so right now, Landon is up $53,779 after 1,679 hands. They've probably played about 25 hands today so far. Landon is winning. Appears to be 5K. So we will continue to keep that up. Yeah, we had to lose the 4-color deck for the customization. I'll see. I'll talk with production, see if there's anything we can do to hopefully bring it back. Work on a workaround. We're not really sure. There's a lot going on, you know. Hang on 1 second. All right. Single raise pot both sides. Looks like on the right we saw a bet check. Now river 4. Perkins is going to lead for 2/3 pot. Get called. And lose to the 9-3 of Landon Tice. Man, I get so many spam calls. How much Landon up in the actual game? 53,000. Oh, this game today, he's up, looks like about 10K right now. Perkins is in for 47,000 on the left table, and they're both in for 40K on the right table. So, yeah, Landon's winning 10, 12K, give or take. Man, I just feel like there's gonna be blood today. Maybe it's the new Solve for Why branded tables that's getting me all up in a tizzy. So where does this match currently stand with the spot? They're roughly break even. Landon came into today winning a little bit over 8 big blinds per 100. Obviously he's giving up 9, so he's basically down nothing. Big picture. I'm going to need more pre-workout, that's for sure. Whew. Missed the gym this morning. Slept right through it. Ready to get after it today at 4 o'clock, though. Pumped for it. CP Max says, how's the workout life going post-challenge? Really good. I actually... I had my deload week last week, and I kind of derailed a little bit. Didn't have anything bad happen. I just didn't lower my calorie consumption, so I ended up putting on like 4 pounds. But I ate clean, so it's a good clean 4 pounds. But at my peak low, which was probably about 2 weeks ago, I think I was down to like 184, which I haven't weighed since my senior year of high school. And I'm getting pretty lean, man. I'm back up to like 190 right now, but I think over the next 6 weeks, I'll probably get down to about 180 and try to maintain that weight. I think that I think sub 15% is in the near future, and I think I could probably get somewhere around 12% body fat before it's all said and done. Haven't seen you at the gym in forever. That's because you go at 6 a.m., man. I'm not a psychopath. Landon goes for it here on the one-liner on the left. This looks like a single raise pot where he tripled off. Definitely putting Perkins in a weird spot. Kind of suggesting here that he could have 9-10 You're not going to see too many polarized bet sizings when a one-liner appears. Perkins does go for the check raise to 17,000, about half pot. So very small check raise. We could see hands like 5-9 showing up here. Landon has a fold. Probably a 2-pair type holding for Landon. Jacob Calloway says, how tall are you, Berkey? I'm 6 foot. You ever fast entire days, Matt? Yeah, I've done 5 to 7 day fast before. What's the lowest body fat percentage you want to maintain long term? I would like to sit between 12 and 14%, I think. I think it's super attainable, especially with the way that I eat. So Perkins does neutralize this match. Landon winning 10,000 on table 2. Landon losing 5,000 on table 1. Shout out to Mod Melissa, quote unquote, I'm not a psychopath, as he eats boiled chicken every day. Yeah, well. A lot of sparring here. Hasn't been a lot of home runs in the previous couple of matches. We saw a really fast start last match where Perkins ran aces into Landon's kings for a quick double. And there was another reset. They each reset tables once last match, but you know, it was fairly tame. And honestly, like, this entire match has been relatively tame. I would imagine the standard deviations are really low thus far for heads up no limit hold'em. Not a ton to deduce from that since we played sub 2,000 hands. Could just be distribution, could be a strategy thing. We're not really sure yet, but we'll see. I expect at some point the reins are going to get lifted off of these guys. Either that or someone's going to get run over, right? Because aggression just wins in this environment, especially if there's any situation where somebody's too passive. All right, looks like on the left we have a 3-bet pot, small bet flop, turn jack. Pretty polarizing card for both. Landon's going to go ahead and check, which I imagine he would do with most of his range. River 6, not exactly super advantageous for Landon. We might see some blocking here. What is the way that you're eating currently? Super clean or just low cal? Landon goes for 70%. Just super clean. I eat nothing but whole foods. Perkins with the raise. This is an interesting raise. He's going to go for the all-in size. Landon folds. I'm very curious about that spot because I don't think Perkins has 5'8" in range. 5'3", maybe only a small amount of. Yeah, pretty interesting. Mama Tice, please do not send cookies. We cannot have them in the house. Perkins does get that river spot through. That's the second time we've seen him river raise and Landon find a fold. Is he just running into it? Is he bluffing and getting caught? We don't know. We can't see the cards. It's tough to say. Big pot brewing here. Wins. So Perkins is up about 15,000 on the left. Andre has him up a little bit more at plus 20. I'm not sure that's accurate because Landon's winning roughly 10 on the right. David White says, I'm curious, how did Landon decide on that 9 big blind per 100 estimate? Was it a gut estimate, or did he use more mathematical approach to arrive at the figure? Oh, it was super easy. Perkins said, I want to play heads up. And Landon goes, cool, I'm in. And Perkins goes, give me a spot. And Landon goes, how about 4 blinds? And Perkins goes, how about 13 blinds? And Landon goes, how about 7 blinds? And Perkins goes, how about 9 blinds? And they go, okay, let's play. And it took about 6 minutes of negotiating. And that's, ladies and gentlemen, how you know you got the worst of it. Chance that we get Joey in studio to cover a match. Hate having to alternate between you guys. I would love to just go every other with him, to be honest. Frush there for Landon. That's going to be good. Yeah, it'd be great. The thing is, I think he wants to do his own production. So like it probably just doesn't make sense to him. But if he wanted to come to the studio, we could just, you know, put it on his channel one day, put it on our channel the next, and just rip at it. The old 9994 board. River Ace. I imagine we'll see some big betting here out of Perkins. Possibly some blocking out of Landon, but unlikely. This seems like a pot plus spot for Perkins, as he has a massive ace advantage. Although I'm not sure how many delays he has through this line. I guess it's pretty natural when the turn is a 9. Landon will be calling all pairs, all flushes. May actually not even have raise bluff. I'm sure he has to have something as a bluff raise. Speak of the devil. I mean, this is obviously just like a naturally under bluff spot. That's not to say that Landon won't find bluffs here. I'm sure that he knows what the appropriate ones are, but my best guess is it's just like whatever your lowest equity hands are that landed in this spot, you just mix low frequency raises with them. So he'll have like some backdoor diamonds, backdoor hearts that obviously can't call and obviously can't fold in full either. This is one of those weird scenarios where like your blocker isn't really all that important, but maybe hands like Jack 10, 8, 7, things like that, where they don't block the lone remaining 9 are the priority choices for bluffs in that situation. I do expect that Landon would be balanced there. Perkins answers immediately with a 3-bet. Call. King 7-3 rainbow. We'll see the small size here almost exclusively. Can you publish it to both channels? Don't believe so. OBS is only capable of streaming to both YouTube channels? Oh, what do I know? Apparently we can. Check by Perkins. Small bet here by Landon. Big raise by Perkins. Goes for the full pot raise. It's an interesting line there by him. Yo, Burke, what casino would I have the best chance to run into you? I'll be in Vegas next week for a few days, and I'm a huge fan of you guys. If I'm playing live, it'll be at the Bellagio. Circus every Friday night. They have an amazing steakhouse there, actually. Believe it or not. It does appear that Perkins has increased his aggression frequency on these later streets. Even a little bit earlier too. Like, I don't think it's intuitive to him to check raise King 7-3 in a 3-bet pot. The standard line there is to just be range betting. I'm not even sure that at equilibrium there is any checking going on there. I could be wrong, obviously, because, you know, heads up, the 3-bet range is a lot wider than it would be in any other scenario. And I'm kind of just like extrapolating off of 6-max strategy. But yeah, I mean, I think that check raise is like super counterintuitive, which makes me believe that he probably has been working on upping his aggression frequency as a whole and trying to do so in maybe more creative ways than he has in the previous few sessions. Perkins goes for 70% here on the end, 67% actually, and wins on table 2. Ace King 5 two-tone. Perkins goes with the small bet size. A little surprised to see that in a single raise pot. That's kind of a bombs away spot. The Ace King wheel card. Generally, we see a lot of overbetting taking place there in single raise pots. 3-bet now out of Perkins. And a call. Ace 5 deuce. These boards are a little bit wonky, especially in 3-bet pots. Should see a fair amount of checking here. And he does check. Landon will stab small some of the time. He'll check back others. I don't really think he has a different size other than like third. Turn jack of spades, bringing 2 flush draws now. We'll see some 3/4 bet sizing out of Perkins, I imagine, as well as some follow through checks. Double delays. We do see a second check. Now we'll probably see like the 2/3 sizing out of Landon. I still imagine that he checks back at a fair frequency on this card. Maybe more than half the time. Well, he goes for the OB. Betting about pot and a quarter. Wins. Three-bet pot here on table 2. Landon checks the King 7-6 two-tone board. Perkins bets half, 40%, and wins. He's picking up a lot of steam on that second table, almost back to even. And he's winning about 20K on the left. Should be winning between 15 and 20 right now this session. Oh. I sit more these days than I care to, I gotta tell you. I've turned into an office man. It's It's not for me. There you see Perkins is up 20K this session thus far. Van People says, is Solve for Why interested in any more new streamers or vlogger potential? I don't know. Maybe. Zari Bailey says, going to Vegas in a few weeks. Heard Caesars and Aria have decent games. Caesars is, there's not a lot of action there, but if you're playing small stakes, I think the games are pretty fun, pretty loose. Same thing with South Point, the Orleans. They're like off the beaten path casinos tend to have like the better small stakes games. Aria is a lot better if you're playing like 2-5 plus. Queen 9-5 two-tone. Perkins goes with the small size here in a single raise pot. I imagine he has two sizes on this texture. When he does choose a small size, he will have more 9x in range. So usually Landon would be leading this card, and he still may. He does for one blind. We may see a little bit more raising out of Perkins, since he probably should have most of his 9x in full. Does just call. River 7. Landon will have give-ups and big bets almost exclusively. The hands that would intuitively want to block, I think he would just mostly be checking to check call. They'll be his best bluff catchers. Oh, Connie Mack out there in the Caesar streets. He needs people to come play. Can someone clarify when players can take the money off the table? It's anytime somebody has 300 big blinds in front of them. So once someone is up 2 buy-ins, they reset their stacks and go back to 100 blinds. I saw Landon out in the garage with Shulman this morning, doing a little sparring, getting ready to bob and weave for this match. He hits Perkins with the check raise here in the single raise pot on Jack 9 deuce 2 spades, turn ace of spades. I think we'll see some checking and some like catch-all sizes, something in the neighborhood of 40 to 60%. He does go with third pot. And just wins. Three bet by Perkins. Call. 10-3 deuce two-tone. Perkins should have two sizes here. Something small, something large. He goes with a check. Landon will have stabs, but again, they'll be small, somewhere between 30 and 40%. He does go third. Wins. That's kind of interesting. I wonder what hands are just snap check folding on 10-3 deuce. Almost everything should have either overs or like a gut shot of some sort. I guess like hands like 8-9 of spades just give up. Even that has good blocking properties to the 10 though. Maybe just mix it into that third pot and hope you win. What casino in Vegas is best for newbies in terms of being judged or harassed by the regs? If you want to go off strip, for sure, Red Rock is the best at this. It's just like a locals casino. Nobody's really judging at all. On strip, I would say, again, sticking to like off the beaten path, MGM, Orleans, Caesars. Yeah, I think all of those are pretty good. Three-bet pot on the left. Ace, queen, 9, 2 diamonds. Check, check, flop. Turn 8. Landon double delays here. I imagine we'll see some stabbing out of Perkins now. Something between 60-75%. He does elect to check back again. Could see some blocking out of Landon here on the river queen. He checks a third time. Perkins bets 3/4 pot. Gets called. Loses to ace 10. Well played, Landon. Well played. The old triple delay. Is Bellagio the favorite place to play? My favorite place to play is wherever the nosebleed games are. Currently, they're in Bobby's room. So as of right now, yes. Previously, it was Aria. I love Ivy's room. It's amazing. Yeah, I don't know. I think all the casinos that ultimately host big action are really good to the players. I think the Wynn is great. I think Aria is great. I think Bellagio has been great thus far. Two-thirds here on the right by Landon when the board one lines and completes a flush. Big texture changing card here in a single raise pot. Perkins in the tank probably has something between a bluff catcher and a fold. Oh, Landon just had the goodies. All the aces for the scoop. Alex Anton says, regs harassing newbies is a thing so bad in Vegas that people avoid it. I honestly don't have that experience, but I also haven't played smaller stakes for quite some time, so difficult to say. Mama Tice says, I don't understand poker. Is he winning yet? It's about even. He's winning small. Maybe 10K, give or take. Yeah, maybe 10K. Single raise pot on the right. 3 deuce deuce, 2 spades. Check. Small bet call. Turn 4. Check, check. River 10 of spades. Landon 2/3 this river. Does a small stakes player need to be a GTO wizard to crush 1-2 no limit? Absolutely not. Not even close. Really, you just need to be conscientious of your ranges and understand that rake is a thing that you need to be concerned about. Rake is your biggest competition at 1-2, for sure. Three-bet pot here on the left. Landon decides to check. Perkins goes 40%. And wins. Alexander Hitch says, Burke, any goals in your fitness endeavor or just maintaining current fitness status quo? I always want to be progressing as best I can, but, you know, I'm aging too. So really, I'm just trying to be in the best possible shape I can. And then whatever comes of it, comes of it. I just want to be 70 with abs, man. You know? It's not that hard. Single raise pot, both boards with Landon on the button. Landon double delays here on table 2. River 10 is going to complete a fair amount. We see a one-liner come through. Landon just wins with a 7. Oh, shout out to the man who hit us with a super chat. He said, what's the single advice you would get? Oh, it scrolled too fast. I couldn't see it. Maybe Andre can bring that one back. Burke, at what stakes in live cash games does rake stop being the number one opponent? 5-10 or 10-20? Really at 2-5, but 5-10 or higher, there's no more rake. It's just time. Any time game is obviously significantly better for all players involved. You can open up your ranges a lot. You don't have to play nearly as aggressive. You don't have to worry about conquering the rake so much. But even at 2-5, the rake is less pressure. It just depends on how big the rake is. Like, what's the cap? I grind 50/100 no limit zoom on stars and taking shots at 200. What's the single advice you would give to adjust to live 2-5, 5-10? Big fan from Japan. Probably to expect far more chaos than those zoom environments. Ranges won't be nearly as well constructed or as tight as you'll see in zoom. And depending on the 2-5, 5-10 game, rake may be more or less of a factor than it is in the zoom environment as well. So I think a lot of it just comes from really tweaking and adjusting your ranges a ton to give yourself more opportunity to play against weak players who have very poorly constructed ranges throughout pretty much every node in the game tree. Thank you, Hish, for putting that up there as well. 3-bet here by Landon on table 1. Big bet by Landon on table 2. He goes for the overbet. Queen 6-3 turn 9 and wins. Jack 10-8 rainbow. A lot of checking here out of Landon's range. He does elect to check. Perkins goes with 40% again. Pretty standard. We will see some check raises out of Landon in this spot, as well as some check calls. Turn 9. Pretty fairly distributed between the two ranges. Landon will probably have more king-queen than Perkins. Maybe it's perfectly distributed since they probably both have it in full. River 3 of diamonds. I think we see all bet sizes here available to Landon. We'll see a block size. We'll probably see something between 60 and 90. And then maybe some overbets. He does go with the 3/4 size and wins with the old straight. Bob Morley says, I missed day 3 and 4. What's the overall plus minus coming into day 5? Landon came in today at plus 53,000. And he's off to a small lead, about 30K today, give or take. We are at 1,779 hands. I think that's currently updated. I could be wrong. Does the calculation of who's up progressively include the money Landon is paying per hand? No. He's essentially down until he surpasses the spot. But it's pretty easy to calculate, right? Like if they finish today and they're 2,000 hands in, and Landon is, say, up 200,000, then we know that Landon is winning roughly 10K per 100, which equates to, someone do the math for me, 25 big blinds per 100, meaning he would be crushing the spot, right? If he's up 100,000, then he's winning 12.5 big blinds per 100, meaning he's beating the spot, but not by a lot. So that's the goal today. Bring that total back up to plus 100,000, meaning he would need to win roughly 42,000 today, which is pretty close to what he's up right now. Landon's taking the lead now on both tables. Has Perkins back to starting stack. Very good news for the child of the sim. How do you feel about some legends, Polk, Helmuth, etc., entering the Undertaker phase of their career, where they play sporadic events when they feel like it and then vanish for longest stretches? I mean, I feel like I'm a part of that as well. It's the natural evolution of things, man. Like, what it takes to rise to the top is a lot more work than what it takes to sustain your place once you get there. And when you're playing big enough stakes, you're making enough money over a smaller sample size, so you don't really have to grind it out nearly as hard. And you don't have to burn out nearly as hard when it comes to volume put in. More importantly, it gives you more time to study. So I think it makes a lot of sense. Wicked Man says, Berkey, I'm really loving the animated small stakes video series. It's called Quick Studies. I binged all the available videos over the last few days. Great stuff, and thank you. If you're only watching it on YouTube, I would highly recommend signing up for our free roll access pass at solveforwhy.io. It's free. You just have to give us your email. And in return, all 3 full courses have been launched there. So currently, I think we just put out maybe the 4th video in course number 3 on YouTube. Or maybe we're still on course 2 on YouTube. I'm not really sure. Anyway, there's more content on solveforwhy.io for free. We drop the entire course at the first of every month, and then we slowly leak it onto YouTube 1 video at a time per week. So if you want to stay up to date, by all means, just sign up for that free roll access pass. You also get to see our To Be Determined documentary, which is free for the entire month of June. If you haven't seen it yet, highly recommend. I think that our production team did a fantastic job making their first feature film. Is there a date that Perkins must finish the challenge by before it's a forfeit? So he's free rolling us 100K if he doesn't have 15,000 hands done by October 1st. But I don't think that that's even going to be a sweat. I think there's a good chance that the entire challenge is done prior to that. Huge pot here on table number 2. King 9-6 rainbow. Looks like it was a 3-bet pot. C-bet. Rip River. So this looks like a situation where Landon probably chose the big bet size on the flop, then like 3/4 turn, 3/4 river, and scoops. What's your favorite MTT live format? Super high roller, 100K plus with less than 100 players, mid roller with 25K, 200 to 300 players, etc. I actually like The moderate buy-ins, big fields. I think that I navigate them the best, especially not being an MTT player by trade. So, I love the World Series. If I could play a 5K with 1,000 people, that's fucking amazing. I'm really looking forward to the win, 10K, 10 million. It's going to be a $10,000 buy-in with at least 1,000 players or an overlay, one or the other. Seems pretty great. Yeah, I think that those are the sweet spots. I think like in those situations, a quarter to a third of the field is just completely and utterly dead money. Massive prize pools, big first place, gets the juices flowing, makes you want to be out there. I never really got into the high roller scene. I kind of went the other direction, right? It's like you make a hard choice. Either you want to study poker through the lens of declining stack sizes, where you need to be proficient at everything from 5 big blinds to maybe 100 big blinds, or you go the opposite direction and you need to be proficient at everything from 100 big blinds to, maybe 2,000 or 3,000 big blinds effective. And the latter interests me much more. It's far less finite. It's far less solvable. And it leaves a lot more room for real-time problem solving, real-time negotiations of understanding game flow, understanding the psychology of your opponent. Like, it just brings in a lot of non-game theory metrics that are crucial to your win rate. Whereas in MTTs, it's a little bit different. You're kind of just like restricted by your stack size, restricted by stack to pot ratio, and the vast majority of it is dialing in on the mechanics of playing those situations as close to optimal as possible. And there's just like a lot of people who are very good at the details. I'm personally not. I'm much better at constructing like broad spectrum strategies that will shift and navigate differently depending on who your opponent is, who the environment is, or what the environment is, what the stack depths are, etc. Chips are starting to fly a little bit. 3-bet here out of Landon wins. We are nearing the 1 hour mark. I expect in the next 10 to 15 minutes, these players are going to take a brief break, as they tend to reset a little bit, use the bathroom. I'm also going to take advantage of said break whenever it comes. Not going to make the mistake I did last time where I was ready to get a bottle and relieve myself. You did see a 4-color deck the other day. We lost it whenever we chose to customize the tables. We're going to keep playing around, see what we can come up with. Andrew Sato hits us with another super chat. Says, what is the average reg level at 510, 1020 compared to online stakes? By the way, Mr. Berkey, you're so cool. Can I ask for a picture if I see you in Vegas? Yeah, of course, man. I'd be happy to take one. The average reg level is weak by comparison to online stakes, I would imagine. They're far less studied in the nuances. They're far less crisp with their frequencies and with their range constructions, but they're far better at navigating a live environment. So they do a really great job of extracting money from weak players. They also do a really great job of adjusting to strong players, let's say. I'm not saying that they are performing well versus strong players, but they do a good job of not giving strong players a lot of EV. And quite frankly, like most strong online players who transition to live are relatively insignificant to the environment, because online ranges and everything that you've learned that allowed you to be a strong online reg basically deals you out in a live environment, right? Like if you're VPipping on average 15% or lower in a 9-handed game, which is probably correct according to game theory, you're just not really involved because you're only getting dealt 20 hands in a half. Actually, that's probably aggressive. It's probably like 18 hands a half, maybe 35 to 40 hands an hour. So, you're only going to get to play like 1 or 2 hands. And there's nothing guaranteeing that you're going to get action. You're just going to be perceived as pretty nitty. And, largely speaking, it's going to hurt your bottom line, because a lot of the money is made in just being able to expand ranges and outmaneuver people in the wash, like the middling equity spots, and just perform better than they do in those situations. Just tuning in, how much is give in front? I imagine you meant Landon. Landon is winning, my best guess right now, somewhere in the neighborhood of 50. We'll get an accurate total shortly. No. Yeah, 50K is correct. Jack 10-6, two-tone. Looks like this went check, big bet, call in a single raise pot. Turn 8 of spades. Landon has a big lead here. That seems a little bit exploitative, man. I got to tell you, leads are a thing. They tend to be on the smaller side. Although on a connected board with the flush falling, we may see a little bit more of the 66% sides there. Paul says, when Landon wins this challenge, what is his path? High rollers or just grinding small tournaments with Ryan DePaulo on a vlog? Definitely not the latter. I could see him going into the high roller scene just because the barrier of entry for him to have... I'll address that in a second, David. The barrier of entry for him to get to like high stakes cash live is probably too high. He's just going to be known as very good. And I think it's unlikely that he's going to get action at the 50, 100 plus games. So like he's pretty much capped out at like 1020, 1020, 40, which are the public games in Vegas. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a discussion that we'll all collectively have to have with him at some point, but I think he's just going to chase EV, man. He has a lot of good spots. David says, how long after taking homeschool should we wait before we take the academy? That's kind of a personal choice, I guess. The academy, I think, is kind of it'll be an expansion on week 5 of homeschool, if you will. So it will essentially take everything that you learned in homeschool and try to break it down into an applicable strategy in the live realm. So we'll talk a little bit of nuance as far as like how the environment differs from online, how it differs from equilibrium, things of that nature. We'll demonstrate like some practical hand splitting, as well as like some thought models that you can follow anytime you find yourself in a common live environment. But it's definitely not necessary. It's not a necessary step post homeschool. I think that you have all the tools through homeschool to continue your study. And B, it's one of those things where it's like both homeschool and the academy are very dense. So it's going to kind of hit you like a ton of bricks, and it's going to take some time to digest. So I guess like the answer may just be like whenever you reach a level of comfort with what you've learned in homeschool where you think you can start to apply, could be a good time to examine taking the academy. Landon finds a river raise here on the right after going bet, check, and being led into on the river queen. I imagine this is going to be some queen 9, queen 5 suited type hands. He could have potentially played... queens, obviously he would play this way. I don't think he has a lot of slow plays on the turn. The other stream has Landon up 42K. They're wrong. I can promise you that much. I'm very positive of that. 3-bet here by Perkins on table 1. Four bet. Could we see an all-in pre? We've only seen one all-in pre thus far through 4 sessions, and it was aces versus kings. Call. Very favorable flop for Landon. 10-4-4, two-tone. We have about 1.5 SPR. Most bets are going to be set up to be all in. So he goes with quarter here. That's going to put us at 1 SPR on the turn. We'll see basically 2-bet strategies, I would imagine, on the turn. So the turn 8 of spades. Either Landon is going to be shoving and checking, or he'll be going like third pot. Yeah, like third pot all in. So basically just like trying to set up 2 more streets of value with his overpair type hands that don't need protection, like aces with the ace of hearts is a good example, or 10s full, or if he has ace 4, those types of hands. He does like to just check back. He'll check back protected as well, so he will still have some overpairs. He'll have some 10x. Bill checks a third time, which should indicate some showdown value, mostly bluff catchers. Landon checks back and wins with ace 9 high. So Perkins just gave up. Whatever he had, it was just a stone nothing burger. That's going to increase Landon's lead probably over the 65K mark. Wow, the ace 9 4-ball. Let's go, baby. Berkey, why is it so much easier for me to implement in tournaments than live? And it's not risk aversion because... wait, what? And it's not risk averse besides that. Have you ever dealt with that type of problem with someone? I don't exactly follow the question. But I'm guessing that you're just asking why you can execute better online than live. And the answer is probably just like you're less distracted. Like you're seeing way more hands online. So it's important to just follow your strategy, where live it's very, very slow and you can just find reasons to deviate. Landon's winning 65,000 now. Do we agree / think that the time has passed on vloggers or streamers, roughly 10 on now, playing micros? Less than 10 viewers. I don't think the time has passed so much as the community is probably ready for a change. 3-bet here on the left. Yeah, man, it needs to evolve, right? It can't just be the same template that Andrew Nemi and the Trooper and those guys rolled out 6 years ago. I think we're starting to see a separation, right? There's Lex, in the streaming world, and then there's everybody else. There's Nimi, Owen, and I mean, I guess that's it in the vlogging world, and then there's everybody else. So it's difficult now to get outside of the realm of everybody else, which means that you need to innovate. You need to be creative. You need to do something that they haven't. New York Poker Dude says, I truly think Landon is sandbagging Perk to trap into a false sense of security for later down the road, almost setting up ranges to deviate or to deceive later on. I can promise you that's not the case. Both these guys are trying very, very hard to win as much money every single hand is dealt as they possibly can. And yeah, he's spotting him way, way, way too big of a lead to ever sandbag. Three bet here by Perkins on table 2 wins. Three bet by Perkins on table 1 wins. Oh, that's adorable that you think you're 5'2", Melissa. Landon is growing closer to a reset on table 1. Needs to pick up another 27K. Justin Fail says, why is full screen so blurry? You probably need to change the quality setting. Three bet by Perkins on table 2. He's using 2 different 3-bet sizes. It's very strange to me. Seemingly with no rhyme or reason. I guess he's a little bit deeper on table 2, so he went with the smaller size. It's only a blind and a half difference. Ace, Queen, 8, Rainbow. Perkins starts with a check. Landon goes with the third pot, a little bit more. Bergie, what's your opinion of the 720 spot? Unsure how much you can talk about since I'm assuming you have action on the match. I think it's pretty clear. We all think that it was too big of a spot, but we also still believe that Landon's beating it. It's not an issue, at least from our side, of whether or not Landon can beat Perkins for more than 9 big blinds per 100. It's more so just the volatility that comes with a spot that big, right? Like, it's a huge money-making opportunity if the spot is only 5. It becomes a lesser money-making opportunity when the spot is 9, and variance comes into play a lot more because we're dealing with such fine edges. I'm 5'2" 3/4, my pediatrician says. Oh, man. Landon's a great poker story in the making. If he wins anything at the WSOP, it'll make great TV. I agree. Be good for the brand, too. Hockey Shawnee says, I enjoyed the recent documentary Solve for Why release. Fantastic quality. Thank you so much. I will pass it on to production. Shout out my man Andy Wilson. He says, imagine winning a bracelet. Yeah, no shit. Must be fucking nice. I was just talking to Landon about this the other day. It might have been yesterday. I think I've made 9 final tables at the World Series out of like 60 cashes. And I've never finished worse than 6th, but I've also never finished better than 3rd. It's just so whatever, man. Like, to win a bracelet, you just got picked. Like, there's only so much you can control. I don't think that the World Series means that much anymore in real life, legit. It does. It still represents the dream. The dream's not dead. But I do agree that poker's just evolved. Like, one single event. Wow, Landon goes huge. I wonder if this is a misclick. So Perkins bets 3rd pot, about half pot here on the turn. Ace, king, 6, 7 after delaying a c-bet on the flop. Landon now check raises to the equivalent of 3 pots. So he's hitting them with a 300% raise there. May have been a slight misclick, although I'm not really sure how, unless he added a 1 to the beginning and he was supposed to go like 2,800 for the click, basically. How did you guys initially discover Landon, and did you offer to stake him before or after bringing him into the Solve for Why team? He discovered us. He was like modding some of our stuff and like doing timestamps for the vlogcast and some of our streams and things like that. Just a good kid who wanted to talk poker and seemed like really intelligent. I wasn't initially involved in the backing. It was Chewy and Nick. And then I personally came in just to kind of do more of the accounting stuff and keep his ass on track. It was way before he decided to be a part of the company. Is Perkins' game more respected by pros than Rex? It seems he can play better than he can get credit for from it. No. Andy says he thinks that's a deliberate size. Yeah, I agree. I think it is as well. I guess I'm just surprised by it. I don't think Perkins' game is highly touted in the community, be it by pros or Rex. I think that he's playing better than he ever has because he's in a formulaic game where he has an outline to follow. But like when you thrust him into a 9 max cash game, he can't possibly, like, he can't follow the heads up template because it just gets crushed. It's too loose. And the 9 max template would bore him to tears, which is why he's just like never really cared enough to adjust throughout all these years despite having coaching available to him. Landon goes with 3/4 pot here on the river jack after, I believe, check raising the turn. He donks here on the right on the turn 7, as we've seen a lot of. Perkins just calls. Board double pairs. Landon goes for a check and loses to ace high. Antonio Martinez says, Landon posted on IG the other day that he was winning at 12.5 big blinds per 100 and running at 8.01. What does running at mean? How is that calculated? So essentially, it's just the EV calculations of hands that go to Showdown. He is running below EV in those situations. So variance is slightly favoring Perkins at this point, is really all that measures. But it's not even necessarily that accurate of a measurement, I guess, because it's difficult to quantify like the luck factor of the hands that don't go to Showdown. Chip says Pigtail should get an award just for having to spend any amount of time in Jersey filming. To be fair, they outsourced it. We have a good friend, Jacob, who lives in New York, that did all the filming back on the East Coast for us. Really talented guy, too. Mark Frith says, Burke, 18 months ago, you were on the same jet suite flight as me and my wife. My wife had zero interest in poker, so wasn't excited when I pointed you out. She's watching now. Can you say hi, Sam from UK? Hi, Sam from UK. 18 months ago, where the hell was I flying to? Had to be LA. So I guess this would have been the end of 2019. I guess there was a chance that was when I was flying to Stones to play Postle. If it was a flight to Oakland, that's exactly where I was headed, Mark. I was going to Stones to get cheated by Postle. Good times, good times. Mook B says, so ironic getting a Torelli ad when logging into software content does not seem like the best use of Torelli advertising dollars. I need to know how we can make that stop happening. There has to be a way to get rid of competitor ads from your content. Is homeschool done? When is the next one? We are on week 3. Landon's actually teaching this week, so it's heavy into solver work. 2 more weeks after this. Next week is Nick Marchington. The final week will be Matt Hunt. And I'm not even sure if we're going to run another one, but there's a chance that we do an MTT one just before the World Series, so sometime in September. Single raise pot on both tables. King Jack 6, 2-tone on the left. Check, check. Turn 5 of diamonds. Probably see some small bets here out of Landon. He'll be pretty protected in this line. He does elect to check back. River 7 of diamonds. Check, check. 3 diamond scoops. Ten, 6, 4, 2 clubs on the flop over on the right. This looks like it went check, call, check, call, check. Perkins does check down and loses to the house. Ooh, we were going to see a big river raise there, man. Landon seems way ahead of D-Negs and closer to challenging Polk in a heads up for 25,000 hands. I definitely think Landon is beating D-Negs in a heads up spot. I don't think he's beating Polk. So yeah, somewhere in between, I guess. Burke, did you sense you were being cheated while playing Mike the Crotch? I don't know, man. I just knew something was weird. The guy was V-pipping way too much and winning way too many hands while doing so. I thought he was just like lucky, but people were like murmuring the whole time that like this guy's like a local legend and shit like that. There were a couple hands that I saw that really made me scratch my head. Have you gotten frustrated with Landon while watching this match at all? Example, he decides to run a pure solver bluff all the way to the river and just gets looked up by Perkins. No. Why would I ever get mad about somebody executing the correct strategy? Like, results are meaningless to me, as they should be to all of you watching at home. All I care about is that he plays well, and in my opinion, he's played world class thus far, and he's continually evolving, continually learning. I think that Perkins has a very uphill battle, even with the 9 big blinds. Why did Landon want 20k hands where there's still so much variance involved? To feel like he should negotiate it for 40 or 50? they had to create a number of hands that would actually get completed. The likelihood that Perkins was going to play 50,000 hands was almost zero. We've passed the 1 hour mark. These two are just pushing through. No breaks. We have about 40 minutes left in the session. Three-quarters pot here on the end by Perkins. Call by Landon. Trip deuces. Brutal. Nick from Yuma, what's good, my man? Psychology articles suggest that people can sense an uneven deck in an unfair game even if they can't articulate it. Makes sense. I've pretty much had a strong feeling every time I was being cheated, but that's just because something's almost always off. Mike Lowry says, are we able to join homeschool? I'll wait for the screen to scroll so I can get to the rest of that. Three bet here by Perkins on the left. We might see another 4-ball. Nope, fold. Oh, Michael Lowry says, are we able to join homeschool mid-session? Yeah, if you still want to sign up, you can head over to solveforwhy.io. I think it's still on the homepage, but if not, you can just send us an email at applications@solveforwhyacademy.com and we'll take care of it that way. Big pot here on the right. Big-ish pot on the right. Looks like a single raise double barrel spot. Landon goes 3/4 here on the end. Loses to ace-6. Very likely to be a king he's value betting there. Or bluff, obviously. Flush for Landon on the left. Small pot goes his way. Matt, what is your favorite kind of beef jerky? There's this brand in Austin called Sunny Boy Jerky. It's incredible. Still has like the fat on the meat. It's unbelievable. But I mostly like Tillamook sugar-free jerky. It's really, really good. A few different flavors, but more importantly, it's sugar-free. Jose L says, huge fan, Berkey. Over under playing 10 MTTs at WSOP this fall. Way over. I'll play full schedule for sure. Landon goes with a big overbet here on turn 7 of diamonds, table 2. This seems to be setting up a river shove. Perkins just greets him with a shove, though. And Landon folds. Things swinging a lot closer to neutral now. Can you remind us why essentially the case against Paso collapsed? I don't think it collapsed at all. It was just dismissed from California courts that they wouldn't hear any gambling debts or allegations of cheating. Landon's still up 30K, but a far cry from the 70 that he was up prior. And yeah, we're still mounting evidence to demonstrate like what his win rate was, and you know, a lot of the stats that are egregious. We recently just got a hold of all of the hands that he's ever played, converted to actual hand histories, and we're running them through PT4 databases now. I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 6,700 hands. So myself and a team that Gelfond has put together are going to be doing some of the data analysis. We'll be releasing results somewhere in the near future, I would imagine. King Jack 10 turn Jack. This looks like it went single raise pot, big bet by Landon on the flop. Perkins now leads for a blind and a half and just wins. $7-4-4 rainbow on the left. Landon's gonna bet third pot and get raised. Folds. How much for you to coach me one-on-one? No amount. Honestly, I just don't have the time to take on one-on-one students. I can happily direct you to people that I think are really good one-on-one coaches, though. Would you ever consider doing a bracelet bet with anybody? I actually have a 5-year-long bet with Foxen. Well, it's funny. I didn't actually bet with Foxen. I bet with Ryan Reese. So it's 20K. First one to win a bracelet in a mutually played event wins. Me versus Foxen. And at the time, I was coming off 3 World Series final tables, and Foxen was pretty new. It was like 2017 we made the bet. I think next year is the final attempt at it. So we have this upcoming World Series, and then I believe next World Series. And then that's it. But honestly, Foxen plays mostly high roller stuff now, so it may not even be significant. I'm not sure what kind of schedule he'll put in during the WSOP any longer. Do you think the move from ESPN to CBS Sports coverage of the WSOP will have any impact? Tough to say. Probably not. It's not like it was getting massive viewership or ratings to begin with, right? Like, televised poker is just very different now. It's very different. It's very tough to package for the user. Big pot here on table number 2. This looks like it was a 3-bet pot. Probably bet call check bet call river 9. Landon's all in for 2 pots. This is a big pot for Landon to not lose, basically. Whether he scoops it uncontested or he doubles through here through a call, this is going to be a defining pot in the match. If he loses it, he's basically going to be stuck at half a buy-in or so. But he doesn't. He wins. Alex Anton says, ignore this if this isn't the place to talk about it. But why was Joey's life so affected so much by the Postle scandal? I was just introduced to his content. I don't think it was affected that much. I think he just really deep dove into it. And he put a lot of time and energy into it. So, you know, that has a toll on you. It takes a toll on you. Single raise pot, ace, king, 10. Perkins goes for full pot. Pretty good. We see this a lot on triple Broadway boards. What up, E? What's going on, my man? Landon holding tight to about a 1 buy-in lead today. We have reached the 90-minute mark. These guys are slated to go 2 hours. Seems as though they're passing on the break, which is catching up with me at this point. I gotta stop drinking so much water. Pair of sixes takes down the single raise pot on the left for Perkins. Check, check, queen 10, 3, two-tone. Turn 5. I think Landon will have some leads here. He does. He goes full pot. Wins. He says, just relaxing to this music. Is this Spotify list or something? I need it. I think it's lo-fi. You can find it on YouTube Music. What's your estimate on Postle's net worth? Does he have any company stakes, cryptos, thoughts? Definitely worth negative. Like, without any question, he's broke. 3-bet here by Landon on table 2. Wins. Perkins is making this a match, closing the gap. They're getting a little bit deeper on both tables, roughly 125 blinds effective, a little bit more, 135 maybe. Landon double barreling on the ace 3-3 deuce board. 2/3 pot here on the turn. River 4 completing a one-liner. Perkins checks a third time. For what it's worth, the Postle suit against myself, Joey, and others was dropped. He dismissed it, or the judge dismissed it, or he retracted it. I don't remember. Bet and a call. Landon with deuces full. Cruising right along, keeping things nice and smooth for young Tice. Perkins just scratching and clawing, trying to keep it relatively close today. This just seems like one of those days where it's just going to be a smooth buy-in one way or the other, barring a cooler. Chris says, I know as soon as Perkins hits 300 big blind, he resets. His Landon played a significant amount of time over 300 big blinds looking to stack Perkins? I don't understand the question. It's impossible for anybody to have 300 big blinds with the other person also being deep because of the reset. If you could poach any one coach from another training site, who would it be? No Galfond. K-Rab comes to mind pretty quickly. I think he's probably one of the best. Bet call on the end here. Flush for Perkins. Very unfortunate. Landon found himself with a bluff catcher there versus a man who was not bluffing. Three bet by Landon on table 1. Lead has been reduced to 15K. Four bet by Perkins. Big size at this depth. Call. Pretty favorable board for Landon as the defender, I would think. 7-6-4, two-tone. They do have about 2.5 SPR. Perkins goes quarter. This will get them to about 1.5 SPR on the turn if Landon calls. He will have raises here for sure. We do see the raise come through. This will put them at 0.75 SPR on the turn, give or take. More like 0.66, I guess. Perkins will probably shove through with a lot of his overpairs that need protection. He'll call with... He just rips. Do we have a call? No snap out of Landon. Tanking is kind of strange. I would have expected this to be a pretty polar spot where he either has it or doesn't. It's possible he was just in a hand on the other table. Thank you so much, Paulie. That's going to swing things back in Gas Trader's favor. He's going to be plus about 15K now, maybe 20. How many big blinds per 100 would you give Perkins, Burke, if you were playing the same stakes and hands as Landon? Right now, right this very second, I wouldn't spot him at all. I've never studied... I don't even know what a heads-up chart looks like. He's 50,000 hands into playing heads-up. Like, he should spot me. Maybe we can negotiate that. Favorite non-poker / business related books / content? You seem like a very grounded person. I'm intrigued. The book that I gift the most is Attached. I think it's phenomenal insight into the psychology of relationships. The Gift of Fear is also one of my favorite books. I think that anybody who delves into a realm of risk should probably read it in some capacity. It kind of speaks to our intuition in risky environments. Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights was absolutely phenomenal. Just read that. Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, also really incredible book. I don't know how much this is related to business or not, but I think Infinite Game by Simon Sinek was game-changing, and Range by David Epstein is also a phenomenal book. This has been a quiet slugfest, despite the fact that not a whole lot of big blinds have changed hands. We've seen swings, though. Landon all the way up to plus 70 to now down 20, give or take. So 2 buy and swing in any direction. Now Perkins a half a buy-in away from a reset on table 1. Pot brewing here on the left. Landon starts with the big bet on 6-5-3 two-tone. Turn king. Might see some overbetting take place here. There it is. 1.5 pots, give or take. Melissa says, it would be so fun to see a Berkey versus Landon live heads up with table talk. I think I'd much rather play Perkins live. I would play Perkins live heads up right now with no spot. I don't think I need the spot. Just because it's so slow that it's really just about how you navigate each spot in particular over a few hundred hands and how you're kind of navigating the game flow and stuff like that than it is playing perfect ranges. And like, you know, if I'm giving up a fifth of a big blind because I'm not including a hand in my preflop range or because I'm not 3-betting at the proper frequency, like who gives a shit? Doesn't really mean anything as long as I'm navigating the bluff catching realm well and the bluffing realm well and things like that, which I have relative confidence in. But over 20,000 hands, that shit just gets punished. If you're off by a tenth of a big blind over and over and over again for 20,000 hands, you get wrecked, man. That is the definition of wrecked. All Landon would say if we played heads up is more every time he raised. So tilting. Have we seen anything more than a 4 buy and swing so far? No. The biggest session was 160K Landon's way in session number 3. 3-bet here on table 1 by Perkins. Ace 7-4 rainbow. Pretty favorable for the 3-better. We do see the small bet size used. Melissa says, I don't think he'd be able to resist memeing if he played Berkey. I think I would hurt his feelings if we played live. Landed with the small raise and he wins. Raise here by Landon on the left. Ace 5 deuce two-tone. He goes for about the 2/3 pot raise. Turn queen of diamonds. Putting 2 flush draws out now. Overbet. 1.66 pots to be precise. This will set up a river shove of about the same size. River 2 of hearts. Landon will only be checking or shoving. Check. Wins. Flopped straight. Interesting check with the diamonds in hand. I think that's probably, certainly, definitely a shove. I'm pretty confident that that's a shove. Perkins' bluff catching range is almost certainly going to consist of ace X. We're not, I don't believe we're check folding the 4-3 of diamonds in that spot. So if we're not check folding, we're kind of forcing him to find bluffs. We blocked some diamonds, which makes it a little bit difficult. Specifically, we blocked the gut shot diamonds, so he can't have hands like 6-4 of diamonds, things of that nature. I think that that's a pretty big missed value spot by Landon. That's one of the first mistakes that I'm confident in that I've seen him make. Similar to the King Jack check down that I saw Perkins make last session. I'm pretty confident that he just missed a rip there. And I'm pretty confident Perkins probably had a hand to call with. I'm going to be in Vegas next week. How much do I need to bring a shot in Bobby's room? 20K per buy-in. Is 50K total enough? Yeah, the gameplay is pretty deep. It's 50, 100, but it's a 5K minimum. Usually we're playing like 51-2. Most people buy in somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 30K. But you could just take 10K shots if you want. I don't know enough. The thing is, I don't know enough about what that spot looks like on the river in theory. But I have my perception of how I think the ranges have narrowed that up until that point. And I feel like if we're checking 4-3 of diamonds there, it's to fold. Which maybe it does. Maybe I'm wrong, and that's one of the hands that can't bluff catch. Specifically, I think maybe we just don't have bluff catches on the river, because it's pretty clear that Perkins' range is dense to showdown value, like a lot of ace X. He'll be full sometimes. He'll have flushes sometimes, but I mean, I don't think we get to salvage our stack the times that occurs. We're probably still just going broke. Interesting spot. Very interesting spot. Alex says, do they let anybody from the public play in a game that big if you have the money? It's a private game, but yeah, for the most part, if people wander in and they want to play, they can pretty easily get on the list. If they're businessmen, they're almost certain to get a seat right away. Wes says, hey, Berkey, do you think a three-way high-stakes challenge like this is likely to ever happen, or would that be too tricky? Clarify, you mean 3 people playing heads up or a 3-handed match? We're coming down the final stretch. About 10 minutes remain. Oh, Landon won a big one on the right. It must have happened while the 3-4 hand was happening on the left. It looks like he doubled. That's going to put Landon back out in the lead, I believe. Matt Kelly says, do you ever play mixed games in Bobby's room? I do not. I don't know the rules to most of those games, let alone have the capacity to play them well. Overbet by Landon on table 1. 89486. Picked up the action a little late here. I assume this is a single raise pot where he check called a big bet on the flop and then donked on the turn. Perkins in the tank, probably caught in the wash somewhere between a hand that calls or folds. Sometimes it's very difficult to understand where you rank hierarchically. Hierarchically. Where your hand ranks in accordance to the ones that want to do each. Obviously, you're mixing all the time too, so you have to have some confidence in the frequencies by which you're calling. Is it just No Limit Hold'em in Bobby's Room, or is it a mix of games? The game I play is just No Limit Hold'em, but there is also a mixed game that runs in there. I think they play 300, 600 maybe. It's all limit mixed games though. 3-bet by Perkins on table 1. Choosing the smaller size now that they're a little bit deeper. Reduces it from 11 blinds to 9.5. Landon folds. West says yes. 3-handed match, 20,000 hands. Yeah, I think it's certainly viable. I think it's interesting because it makes the strat alter a fuck ton. It's also possible that depending on what the 3-handed lineup is, that there's just one person losing all of the money. Another check raise out of Landon. This one's very small. Goes for the the third pot check raise. Call. Turn Queen of Clubs. We'll see some big bets and some small bets here, depending on where Landon falls in his range distribution. He'll be check raising small with a lot of hands. Some backdoors, some of his weaker 6x, as well as some ace-x. Very likely that he either just has a straight give up or he turns some level of showdown value. Could have a queen, could just have a dusty ace that's now chopping with the majority of Perkins ace-x. Perkins goes for 3/4 pot. Fold. Berkey, you dreading the return of the Euros in Vegas? I don't care, man. I enjoy everybody. I equally enjoy and loathe everyone, regardless of nationality. More importantly, people who tank just don't get seats in the game that I play in, so it doesn't really affect me that much. When is the next Solve for Why live? I assume that's going to say Academy. And if it does, it's June 18th to June 20th. I believe we have 1 seat remaining that is unsold at the moment. So if you're interested, head to solveforwhyacademy.com. There is an application there you can fill out, and we'll be in touch. Another small pot for young Tice. Very deep on table 1. Now about 160 blinds effective. 5 minutes left in the match, assuming that they stop at the 2-hour mark. What up, Malakaboo? Hope all is well with you as well. Our post-game interviews expected today. We never really know. I always assume that they're going to join me, but you know, sometimes there's a chance that people just have a bad day or don't want to be involved. All depends, baby. We just wait. We're just here for it if they want to come. Big bet out of Landon on table 1 after checking back flop. Call. River jack of diamonds. Check, check. Landon wins with a 6. Chris says, how late are they playing? They should be wrapping in the next 5 minutes, my man. Get your ass over to the office. We need you for that voiceover work. Where can we see where the whole match stands? We're working on a landing page, but we'll just keep you updated throughout the course of this match. Coming into today, Landon was plus 53K. He is winning about 35,000 today to increase that lead. Goes for the check raise on Jack 10-7. A little bit bigger size, 2/3 pot. We saw him do this with the 4-3 of diamonds when he flopped the straight. So very feasible that he could have a hand like 8-9. He'll have 2 pair combos. He'll have pair plus draws. 10 is probably pretty neutral for both sides. I would expect not to see overbets here. Something more in line with checking or 3/4 pots. He does check. Checks back. River 10. Pretty bad run out for Landon's check raising range. He'll obviously have some jacks full, or some 10s full of jacks, I should say, 10s full of 7s, but not really a ton. His 8-9 goes way down in value, but I don't think 8-9 checks the turn, so that's really not an issue. He does find a bet here for 3/4 pot. Kind of interesting because Perkins bluff catchers are pretty non-intuitive at this point. It would be like 7x, 8s, 9s. And then maybe he has to start reaching for some ace highs. Single raise pot on both tables. Check down to the river on both tables. Backdoor flush comes through on the left. Front door flush completes on the right with the ace falling on river. Perkins blocks. Landon will have a lot of natural bluff catches here. Some bluffs, I'm sure. Just folds. He folds to both blocks. Shine says, Berkey, your voice is so soothing. I just took a quick 60-second nap over here. Yeah, it's tough, man. I'm mostly even keel in all this because, you know, outside of seeing like some big swingy pots, there isn't a whole lot to get excited of. And honestly, even if they were to play like a 400 big blind pot, like, sure, it's exciting for sure. It's going to move the needle in this exact moment, but big picture, over 20,000 hands, it's like, yeah, that stuff's going to happen. I don't know, man. I'm such a nihilist when it comes to poker. Seen it all. Everything is just kind of numbing. It is too, it looks like, I was just about to say, it looks like we're getting to the point where they're trying to position the button. Perkins does get the button in both. And that's going to be a wrap. I think all told, Landon is going to be up somewhere in the neighborhood of 30,000. We'll get an official count for you shortly. We will find out if we are going to be joined by the child of the sim himself and Mr. Die with Zero, Bill Perkins, in one moment. So there you have it. Landon does pick up about 35K this session. We'll confirm that number with him, assuming he's coming on for the post-game interview. All in all, it was a pretty swingy session, despite the fact that like big numbers weren't really being exchanged one way or the other. We didn't see any all-in and calls. We didn't really see too much along the way of a lot of like big hands shown down or anything like that. But we saw a lot more river aggression, a lot more check raising coming through in this session, as far as I could tell. We saw Perkins definitely upped his aggression factor for sure this time around. And you know, we saw some swings, right? Like Landon jumped out to a 70K lead and then all the way to minus 15K, ultimately to finish plus 35. So we're talking about them exchanging, you know, 200 to 300 big blinds over and over and over again, with Landon ultimately coming out victorious. If this number is confirmed to be correct and they just cracked the 2,000 mark, that's going to put him up about 90,000 so far for the challenge, which is right around, I think, 11 big blinds per 100, if that number is correct. Meaning that he's just ever so slightly beating the spot thus far. Pretty good news for Team Tice. We like to hear that he's beating the spot. That certainly is a benefit.
Can you hear me?
I hear you, man. I don't know if you're on stream yet, but we do have the young prince himself about to join us. Andre is going to be throwing him into the mix here shortly. We'll discuss maybe a couple of the key spots or some of the game flow elements that came up into play. But more importantly, just like, you know, how the kid feels. He's just going through these 6-figure swings on the daily, and all while he's racing the clock of 9 big blinds per 100. There he is.
Oh, there I am. Hello.
Wow, this camera upgrade, man. What
I know.
What it's done for you is remarkable. If only we can.
Yeah, to sit up a little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get that background overlay permanent, because your room, man. Whew. Your mother will be proud. How you feel, big dog? Pulled out a W today?
Yeah, I feel okay. Yeah, not much happens necessarily. Like a few big pots, and that's kind of it.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing really too much happened today, I guess I would say. But we did pass 2,000 hands. We played 366 in 2 hours, which is a lot.
Yep.
So we played 2,045 hands. I'm up 84K and running at 10 big blinds, winning at 14 adjusted. So we're slightly winning.
Okay. Good to hear.
That's where we're at.
Team Tice is happy that you're plus 1 big blind per 100 right now.
Yep.
So that puts you up about 30K then for this session, 31K?
Yeah, I won like 29.
Oh, okay.
29. Yeah, literally 30, like 29, 9, 22.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Talk to me a little bit about the back and forth. It wasn't a big match in the sense of all-ins and calls or anything of that nature, but I noticed a little bit more river aggression out of both of you, and in general, there was a big exchange where, you know, you jumped out to, I think, a 70K lead at one point, and then went all the way backwards to being stuck, ultimately pulling out a 30K win.
Yeah. I don't really know too much that happened besides like a 4-bet pot where I had to raise fold versus a jam. And yeah, I mean,
was that a close spot? Because you were kind of in the tank a little bit. I figured it was going to be a pretty quick decision.
Yeah, it was relatively close, but I'm not too sure.
Good.
Might have got like a little bit ambitious, but
yeah. I mean, those
you know how it is.
Those situations are going to present themselves for sure.
Yeah.
Any big hands that you can remember that you care to discuss?
Not really. I don't really remember too much, honestly.
Yeah.
I gave up a bluff in a spot where he saw it. Like I had king 10, no club, and when he had jack 10 of spades. I'm just not sure. It might be bad. Might be good. There's literally no idea.
Are you able to share what he had, the hand where you had 3-4 and flop the straight?
He had queen 5 for turn 2 pair.
Oh, okay. And then counterfeit river. Yeah.
Yeah, counterfeit river, check.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of the hands that kind of stuck out to me. Felt like maybe we missed a little bit of value on the end, but I just don't know those spots well enough to really make a comment one way or the other. And the fact that he had queen 5, obviously, I assume that's probably one of the hands that folds, but maybe not because it double blocks.
Right. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, you'll find out, I suppose. What is the plan moving forward now that you guys are at such a, let's not call it a speedy pace, but you're at a pretty reasonable pace where, you guys are, I think right now you're on pace to finish sometime in September if you were to keep this up. Is the plan to keep attempting 3 times a week for 2 hours at a time?
I think so. I think there's gonna be a few days where we play a little bit longer, but I think the 2-hour sessions is nice, like for viewer wise, and then also play wise.
Yeah.
Like sometimes like you can get some pretty big swings, and then other days like just kind of chill out and like watch some poker, I guess.
Yeah,
It just makes it easier to watch in like 2-hour bites versus like 5-hour deathmatch sessions.
right. I think that for the viewer, it's probably a little bit lost that you're just not going to see as many huge swings over the course of 380 hands as you would if you guys played 1,000 hands, which during the Negreanu Polk match, we saw multiple sessions where they were well over 1,000 hands.
Right. Yeah, we're just going to kind of like slow and steady, but like not too slow because we play pretty fast.
Yeah.
So like 2,000 hands, I'm sure is a lot more than people thought was going to get done at this time already. So
yeah,
10% of the way through, not too bad a pace.
Are you and the team happy with the pace? Is there any part of you
think
that
so.
would like to slow down and study more, or vice versa?
I think that we're both sort of comfortable with it. Like more time is nice, kind of, but then other like also like just kind of staying in like the headspace of playing every week is also nice too.
Yeah.
And just sort of being able to like kind of commit to like a few days a week, which is nice.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you know if we're being joined by the old timey billionaire?
We need to send him the link.
Jesus Christ, this link. This link. Andre says it's in the Skype chat. I've never been sent a link for what it's worth. I don't know what this links to. I think that it's an ongoing joke that I'm not included in on at this point. Just another one of Landon Tice's memes to get the old timey reg.
It's not my meme, man. It's his meme. But he does need the link to join the Skype call. I sent it to him, yeah.
Okay, cool. How'd the sparring session with Shulman go this afternoon?
It was good.
I saw you guys dancing a little bit in the driveway when I was leaving.
A little bit.
Yeah. You working a little on the ones and twos?
A little bit.
Yeah. Have you ever boxed before?
I mean, not people other than my brothers, but so not really, no.
So you've never trained, is what you're saying?
Correct.
It's fun. It's a lot of counting, and remembering like what the numbers equate to.
Okay, he saw the link, so I think he's on the way.
Ask Landon if he's ahead or behind where he expected to be 10% into the match. Good question, John.
I have no idea, to be honest. I mean, I think we're making some pretty good pace. I think I'm doing okay, but like I didn't think I would jump out to like a massive lead, but I also didn't think I was going to get stuck infinite. So it's kind of where I expected it to be a little bit, but you don't really
I can't
know.
hear people, so that means I gotta connect the thing. So
I can hear you though. He's speaking.
Man, I wish that like honestly we should just like start including Perkins joining the call as a part of the show for like behind the scenes, because it's such
Bluetooth.
It's such a boomer type thing. He's like, does this thing work? Where's the video? It's like connecting on a FaceTime with your grandma.
I gotta find JBL Boombox 2, and it doesn't see it. So Push this button. Okay.
For those of you who can't hear what's going on right now, it sounds like Perkins is having
Click.
a real crisis with his
Two.
technology.
Connecting.
He's speaking the
Connecting.
instructions out loud to
Connecting.
himself,
Delete. Okay. Now I can't
waiting
hear you
for the
guys,
beep,
so why not?
and attempting to get,
Look at it
I
again.
guess,
Like 3
a
times.
speaker
Okay.
of some
How do you
sort.
get audio? More. Turn off income whole call audio and video settings. Okay, camera looks okay.
There he is.
Where's the audio settings? Down
You know
here.
what? This is
Okay. Speakers. Test up.
He's in the Matrix right now.
this is the 5th time we've had you two on, and I don't think Perkins has been in the same place twice.
He's dancing.
How is he calling on Skype? Isn't he already connected? We have his video feed.
Okay, now we're set. We got the
Hello?
funky ass. I might have to make that into like a club mix because they did the Sesame Street into a club mix, so that could be a club mix too. Oh, does that work? That works.
That works. We see you. We hear you.
I think we need some light in here. Can you turn this thing on?
You're in the darkness. You're in the darkness.
I'm always in the
He's
dark.
got a ring light too.
Mm-hmm.
I got a thing. Is that better?
That's great.
No, that's not better. That might be better.
Yeah.
I'm a key grip. I'm a good key grip. Okay.
Welcome, sir.
All right.
It's always a pleasure.
All right.
Where are you? Because you haven't played from the same place twice, as far as I can tell.
I've been between Austin and Houston.
Okay.
And there's like a little room upstairs where I go and put on the music and play. And then there's like a little office in Austin that I play. Those are the 2 places I've been.
Okay. This looks like a nice room for you to smash stuff if things go wrong. Like super easy cleanup.
Things were going wrong. There were some serious runouts here. Landon had that straight with the 3-4 diamonds, and I was like, motherfucker,
Yeah.
It was like, of course. And then he had another full house. We were like, of course he turned a full house. Like, of course,
Oh, you had a 5 on that hand?
I can't remember.
It was
I think I had it.
It was when I had deuces on ace 3-3 probably.
It was ace 3-3,
Yeah,
deuce 4.
He had an ace. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there were some runouts where I was just like, this is ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of ridiculousness of it, And so, but, I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Do you know what the results were for today? I don't even know.
Yeah, so I won like 30, 29.9.
29,000?
Yeah, so less than a buy-in.
Okay.
So you guys are about even with the spot thus far. I guess talk to me a little bit about the game flow of the match, because from what I could tell, the overall aggression seemed to be higher despite the fact that there were no all-ins and not a lot of money changed hands.
Yeah, I mean, I just, you can make a lot of, you can play well, but make the overall mistake of like you can make mistakes of commission, mistakes of omission, right? And I think prior, a lot of my mistakes were mistakes of omission,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just playing the game now and trying to like not have those mistakes of omission,
Okay.
And I think when you're playing poker correctly, this is just me as an amateur, in Heads Up No Limit, it looks very aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you just sat and watched 2 bots go at it, you'd be like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? What's going on here, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm not a bot. I'm not even close to a bot. But like I'm trying to mimic the AI gods, and that's where I'm at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. So I think the more you see Landon or myself getting to that, that AI god level, the more aggressive you'll see poker.
Are you surprised at the lack of all-ins pre-flop thus far? I mean, I know we've only played 2,000 hands, but you guys have only been all in with aces versus kings thus far.
Yeah, and it is interesting, right? Like, but we have had we had our fair share of 4-bet pots.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that intermediate step has taken it over, and I guess it's just the way the chips fall, right? Where people are rolling. That we haven't just like got it all in.
Yeah, I mean, we're still only 10% of the way through, so there's plenty of time for pain and blood. How do you feel about the 2-hour sessions versus like longer ones? Obviously, over a smaller hand sample, you're not going to see quite as big of swings, but you're still going to get the 20,000 hands out at some point.
I mean, I like the format because, the good thing about poker, the great thing about poker is that it's a puzzle, but the puzzle is deep, right? Like, it's not like tic-tac-toe, right? There's always like some new spot with a new thing and a new line where you're just, you get into like weird spots. And so I think both Landon and I will be in situations where we want to go back and look at that, be like, well, what is the answer and how should I be thinking about that spot, and get better in 2 hours. And also just attention span,
Yeah.
I think, I don't know if it's quackery or what, but like 45 minutes is like peak attention span. That's why college classes are 45 minutes, and we're doubling that to like a movie theater, right? A long movie is 120 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, especially where you're having like the ups and downs of, RNGesus, right? Rolling something that you don't really want to do, but you got to do, right? and like having it work out or not work out, right? Like, you're like, motherfucker, I had to fucking bet and fucking guys got river to fucking 3 or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like, that gets a little draining. And so for me, I like it. I think it's good for the fans too, right? Like 2 hours, you can watch it, it's going to end, you can come back, right?
Yeah.
You don't have this open-ended, like, when is this thing going to end? Am I going to miss the hand of the night or whatever type of thing? So I think it's good for myself. I think it's good for Landon. I think it's good for poker.
Yeah, I largely agree. What's the plan moving forward now? I assume we're going to keep with the 2-hour schedule for the most part. Are you guys going to continue to try to play 3 days a week?
Yeah, I mean, I'm traveling tomorrow, and kind of have a pretty packed day. But my evening might be free. But I really want to stay away from playing on days where my day is packed.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I want to come in with it's harder for me to play with a clear mind.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Things are falling apart here. As you can tell, I haven't been streaming.
Sure.
So
sure.
It's just kind of janky setup. But and so it's just a little bit more difficult to me. Like, that's the advantage of being a pro, right? Like, his job is poker. He has his entertainment and his other life, but that's what it is. And his job is poker. So when Landon shows up, he's going to be very focused and have minimal distractions, right?
Yep.
And if I have a full day, it could be ludicrous, right? Across different verticals.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So does that mean you're aiming for Friday, or is this still just like up in the air?
Yeah, I mean, I have the boys coming down. Actually, they're gonna play a little cash poker. So if we aim for Friday, it'd probably be an earlier session.
Okay. Okay.
Like a noon CDT.
Okay.
So I'll give that warning right now to Landon, so that way you can get some sleep, because that'll be 10 a.m. time. Right?
Yeah, the 10 a.m. YouTube streets are flourishing with viewers.
They can watch the replay. I mean, I don't know how to do it, right?
No. It is what it is.
You can come, I gotta get my on the water time, and it's also a work day,
Sure.
And I gotta do some other stuff, and then the boys are coming down. They're gonna play some cash game live at my house in Austin. So
Sick.
have a little fun, splashing I pretty much forgot how to play ring poker now, so they're looking forward to playing with me. Not
Yeah,
that I can play that.
you'll be way too loose for sure.
Yeah, yeah, like what? I have a blocker.
Yeah.
All in.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm a street blocker. All in.
Yeah, they're in for a good time for sure.
Right? Like, So yeah, and honestly, like what happens when you play ring for me is I just lose patience.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of spoke a little bit about that on the stream where I said that you're able to kind of lock in and play your best in this scenario because you have a template to follow. But if somebody gave you the template for 9 max, you would just be bored to tears and probably never play 9 max again.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't know, I hope we're only playing 8, but, it's not fun. But that being said, I can just check out and go downtown Austin and have fun or go on the river.
Yeah.
And let the boys play, right? Let the boys play if that's the case. But I'm happy. I mean, I'm happy with I'm not happy with the results so far, but I'm happy with the match. I have to be careful not to beat myself up too much in spots. Like there are areas that I know if we go down this way, you know what I mean? Like I am not 100% yet. Right,
Yeah.
not even close.
Yeah.
And there's areas where I'm just like, oh, I'm very fucking comfortable. Like, let's go. You know what I mean? But and then even in spots where you're very comfortable, you haven't seen them all. So like, don't get cocky, kid. You know what I mean? Like, right? It's like it's weird. Like you just run these spots, you run a solve, and you're like, oh, that was counterintuitive. You know what I mean? That
yeah, for sure.
So I'm happy with the learning. I'm happy with the match. And what we're able to throw together, the community is able to throw together. And Landon, you should probably talk some.
You're doing great. You're doing great. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed like the preparation for it and kind of the day to day. So like I'm just like really enjoying that, and the people seem to enjoy it too. And it's pretty cool, I guess. Like we're keeping it pretty close at the start. Like no one's not winning infinite or losing infinite. So like speculation's still kind of up in the air. So it's definitely been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's definitely there. And you're up what, like a buy-in and a half or something like that?
Total, I think I'm up 2 buy-ins. So like literally nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's I don't know, like now I know why every poker player says they run bad, because it hurts so much on these bullshits that these runouts that you just remember it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, of course it's a fucking one-liner to the straight 4 flush board when I have fucking 2 pair. You know what I mean? Right. And he fucking overbet jams the river, like, and it's not even a 2 pair I can fucking call. It's like middle 2 or some stupid shit like that, like, or some bottom 2 or whatever, and you're just like, okay, of course, that's the run out. Like, great, and so I get it. Like I get the pain of other players, And
well, you're also like
everybody.
In heads up, you're also like under the microscope, right? You're so zoomed in that you're feeling this hand after hand after hand. There's no break. It's not like 6 max or 8 max or whatever, where like this happens and then you just sit and stew over it while you don't play any hands for the next hour.
No, yeah, and it's a 2-hour test.
Yeah.
It's literally a 2-hour test, right? Like I'm giving Landon a test and he's giving me a test, and we got to fucking, go into our brain and figure out what we're doing and what our response is going to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Boss Bear from the chat wants me to ask you to compare Landon to some of the bigger games that you've played.
Oh, I mean, this is heads up, right? Most of the bigger games I've played in or ring, but Landon would destroy those games if he played this well in ring as he does in heads up, right? He would literally destroy it, right? Yeah. I mean, Landon's playing well, right? Of course, Landon's making mistakes, right?
Yep.
He can see them, I can see them, whatever, but like, the number of hands and number of spots that you're going is just like so huge, and to be making the mistakes he has at that level is very good, right? Like he's playing A poker, right? A- poker, B+ poker, right? And so, the bigger games I play, the biggest games this is the funny thing, like people don't realize. the bigger the game, the less the skill.
Yeah.
Right? So, we're out there in the Twitterverse and guys are like, Dan didn't make this money and Dan did not. I'm like, you guys are fucking idiots. You have no fucking clue what you're talking about. The bigger games have less skill. So that means as the game gets bigger and bigger and bigger, a guy like me looks like fucking Phil Ivey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? And that's how it goes, right? Like, there's a few exceptions to that, right? Maybe, but like that's the way it goes because the people who are playing in those games are recreational players who play for fun. Who, they'll flip you for a fucking yacht.
Right. Yeah.
So they're like, I don't care, I'll flip you for a yacht. I'll write you a check. Here's 75 million, whatever.
Yeah.
So, and the biggest part of I think a non-tournament player's career is game selection and how to get in these type of games.
Yeah. Right. I think that's true for sure. And I think that consistently holds true across the board.
Yeah, like the one drop is nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The biggest poker prize there is, right? The biggest what at the time it was like the biggest sports purse history in the world, and it's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. To these cash games that get played sometimes, right? And so I'm just kind of like, all right, it's on the regular, right? I wouldn't say nothing, but it's on the regular, right?
No, yeah.
So that's the poker world. So, I'm just going full circle back to that question. I think Landon would kill it.
Yeah, I largely agree. Also, I think that he'll never get the opportunity.
And Landon shows his path, right? By doing this challenge and being public and whatever, he's pretty much locked himself out of those games.
For sure.
Right?
For eternity.
Lifetime lockout, right?
Yeah. Self-ban.
Yeah, self-ban. He self-banned himself for the grinder life.
Yeah. One last question, I'll get you out of here. Do you think any of those super duper nosebleeds that are, mostly just businessmen, that the blinds are equated to what we actually see as far as swings go in most of the big games? Do you think any of those will ever make TV, like Triton or Poker Go or anything along those lines?
I think if you did, I think the only way you could get that doing is in Asia.
Yeah.
In the Asian games, you can get the Asian games because they like gambling and whatever, and there's less shame about being rich and gambling.
Yeah.
Right. I think this is just me speculating, right? But in my experience, in China, gambling is part of the culture, right? So it's not like this bad thing, you're gambling, playing cards or whatever, like the luck, the whole thing is part of the culture too. And people don't have 1,000 fucking Twitter nerds coming out and, like you're rich or, saying shit, right?
Sure.
So they're not afraid to be on TV and gamble it up and look crazy gambling, right? No gambling, what? I got a flush draw and whatever, jam it all in. You know what I mean? They're not afraid to gamble, right? And bluff, and they love that. And so I think that's kind of the only version of it. I think a U.S. nosebleed game on TV just looks ostentatious and dickish.
Yeah. Yeah, right? I think that's fair.
It just looks very dickish. Whereas in Asia, it'd be like, this is what we do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've played a fair amount with a lot of very wealthy businessmen who won't play tournaments no matter what because they're figureheads in their company or something along those lines, and they'd rather just keep it behind closed doors.
Well, there's a very nasty wing of the poker community, very nasty wing, and I'm not going to say the person's name, but I had when I used to host Alpha 8s down in St. Kitts and some other tournaments that were going to be televised. And I had other friends. It was very, very hard to get them to come play. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the reason is that you have, I'm just going to say, these assholes who want to attack these people, these recreational players, right? Yeah. Who attacks a recreational softball player when they come out? That whatever the pro, what pro attacks the Joes when they come in to come play?
Right.
When you go on a golf and you play the pro-am, the pros aren't you suck and blah, blah, blah. The fuck are you doing using that iron? You know what I mean? They're hey, helping you out and whatever and enjoying the game, right? Here, you just have this nasty, nasty, nasty wing which is like kind of the most counterproductive thing you could ever do. And calling probably some of the brightest people in the world idiots.
Yeah.
Because they haven't spent time mastering this puzzle, right? They've mastered other puzzles. And so, I mean, it's just, you know, things are going to have to change, you know, and editors, like the guys who put on these shows, they have to, you know, I've played on shows like The Big Game or whatever, and a lot of it's in the edit, right? Like they edit the show, they put this in, whatever, right? Like even like reality TV, they'll ask a person, do you like this person, right? And you might, and you might be like, they're okay or whatever. They'll use a no from another thing. So be like, do you like onions? No. And then they'll use that no for that question, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that type of shit, you know, people need to be protected by the edit and stuff like that if we want to have more recreational players of means come into this game that we love.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think you touch on a big problem that we haven't yet solved. And hopefully there are some innovators out there that are looking for solutions.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? Because people, they're free to say what they want, and they have these fucking message boards, and they come around, and it's just like, ain't nobody got time for that, right?
Yeah.
Like,
all right, well, I'll let you guys get out of here. Nice match again today. Happy to see that it's close, obviously, from a viewer standpoint. Less happy to see that it's close from an investor standpoint. But as always, you guys put on a good show. We'll tentatively look for an early session on Friday. If not, then just keep us in the loop.
okay. All right, guys.
Perfect.
Thanks, guys. That's going to wrap it for session number 5 of the Tice vs. Perkins challenge. Landon is off to a 2-buy-in lead. He's up just a little bit over 80,000, spotting him about 10 big blinds per 100 at the moment, over 2,000 hands, meaning he's just barely beating the lead that he's given Perkins. We are tentatively going to be back here 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern on Friday. Should that time change or should that day change, we will obviously announce it on our social, so be sure to follow along Solve for Why TV at Twitter or Berkey11 on all social platforms. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in. We will see you next time.